Hello people, and welcome back to another creepypasta reading video. And in today's video, we are going to be reading a creepypasta called "I Shouldn't Be Alive." A few people know about this one, but I don't think it's been really known by people. But let's get on with it. It wasn't easy for her to get around now that people had found her brother. She wasn't sure how that how that had even happened, or how she had escaped from the hellish place that she was trapped in. No memory of how she had gotten past the creature that seemed to be everywhere. All she did, all she did remember was the knife in her hand and the blood pooled around her feet. Her older brother, dead with eyes wide open on the floor. At first she tried to get a reaction out of him, shook him a few times, and screamed in his face. But after 45 minutes, she realized that he wasn't alive and he was never coming back. That somehow killed him. Setting the knife on the ground next to her older brother and pressed her face against his chest. Carefully, she laid down next to him and began crying quietly into his shirt. And she did this for a few minutes before she got up, went upstairs to the bathroom, slipped off the bloody clothes, showered as quick as possible, and bandaged up her wounds to the best of her ability. Luann barely noticed the wet streaks in her hair, or how scrawny she had gotten. Quickly, she went to her room and slipped into some more comfortable clothing, got on her socks and a decent pair of shoes. Shoving more clothes into a backpack, she searched her top drawer for her money and put that in too. Anything she could take with her without it weighing her down. After she did this, she phoned the police and reported her brother's murder after putting on her jacket. Left quickly. Sprinting quickly to a bus stop, she sat at the bench, put her backpack in her lap. The bus came only a few minutes later, and she got on swiftly. She paid what she was supposed to and sat in the way back. The bus went far out of town and stopped at a gas station, letting out a few people. Luann, Luann went in after the people, bought only a few bits of food, and ate only a small bit of it. She didn't have a lot of money, and didn't want to use it up too quickly. She walked out after a minute and slipped her backpack on quickly. After a long while, she was farther than she thought she would head, out in the middle of nowhere with no real idea where she was going. After a few hours, she was tired and didn't know how the heck she was. Didn't know where the heck she was. There we go. I don't know, guys. After a moment, she considered hitchhiking, but wasn't sure she wanted to. Sometimes creeps would pick up girls and hurt them. A weird feeling of absolute a weird feeling of absolute hideous giddiness that made her giggle. Luann wasn't sure, but the idea that some creep would try to hurt her made her laugh, like it was some joke. Stopping, she wondered if sticking out her thumb would really work, or if it just something movies and TV shows did. Carefully, she held up a hand and did the motion she'd seen in movies when a car came by. It slowed and it slowed and parked a little ways ahead of her. Grinning, she ran up to the car and opened the door, saying, "Thanks, I've been waiting for hours." "No problem. So where are you going?" asked the woman driver. She was very tan, had bright blonde hair and dark sunglasses. Luann sat in the passenger seat and shut the door quickly behind her. Buckling up, she says, "Just the next town. That's a that's a quite a few miles away. I'm surprised you could walk this far." The driver said as she drove. Instead of saying anything, she merely shrugged and watched the scenery go by. It wasn't long before they got into the town, and the lady had dropped her off at the nearest bus stop. She didn't wait for the next bus. Honestly, she wasn't sure of where she could go from here if she had. Instead, she found the cheapest motel that, that she could and paid for one night. It wasn't a good room, but it was better than just being outside at night, ex- especially if she wasn't in a familiar place. There was one bed that was barely big enough for her, and the carpet was disgusting green like the wall. only one TV, and it looked pretty ancient. She turned it on, expecting it to not work, and to her surprise, it worked. The picture wasn't quite as good as the TV back home, but it was alright. Turning it to the news, she saw her house was a big part of a story. Was a part of a big story. Police had assumed that it was a dispute that had gone that had gone that had gone bad between the siblings. That Luann had killed him in possible self-defense, but the neighbors said that they had gotten along very well. Both of them had never fought loud enough for the police to be called. In fact, none of them could recall ever seeing them fight. Police seemed intent that it must have been a fight that had gotten out of hand. Now they were looking for Luann and told people to call if they had seen her. That shouldn't have been enough for her to leave. Though the picture they used for Luann was old, she'd changed since then. It was of her when she was 5. Her hair was longer, lighter, and she had braces. Sure, the picture looked like her, but she guessed that if the motel clerk, or hell, anyone had seen it, the police wouldn't have been called and she'd be arrested a long while back. Assuring herself she was okay, she changed into her pajamas, brushed her teeth, and went to bed. As she took it off, she thought she heard odd sounds scratching. Her dreams were dark. She dreamt that she was stabbing her brother over and over again with a huge knife. The man tried not to kill him, tried to make her arm stop stabbing, and shouted, "I'm sorry. I can't stop. I'm sorry." As she died, as he died in the dream, he stared at her. His eyes were sad, like he was disappointed that she had killed him. When she woke up a few hours later, though, she felt this need to just leave. She got dressed into one of her outfits and began packing her things. Quickly, she left the motel and ran from place to place, not really knowing where the hell she was going or why she needed to run so desperately. After a few blocks, she went around people's backyards and hid in a garage, in a small place to put the cars with her things, and fell asleep behind a few boxes. After a while, her eyes opened again. They were brighter than they shouldn't have been. She smiled, and it wasn't the right type of smile. It was in a soft voice, the demon said, "You thought you escaped me. No, no, no. I just found a new place to hide." Reaching into the bag, she pulled out a knife that Luann hadn't realized she put there. With a laugh, she got down from the hiding place and peeked out a window in the garage. She watched as the family began doing their usual morning routine and said quietly, "They look absolutely boring, but I suppose they'll do for now." But yeah, guys, that was a short little creepypasta reading video. Um, Hopefully it was okay, because I had a long pause. I thought I heard a weird sound in my kitchen, but it was nothing. It's just my cat. But I will see you guys in the next creepypasta reading video. Bye, guys.